What's up, everybody? Paul Hickey here with NoOffSeason.com. Welcome to the Sports Card Strategy Show. We are brought to you today by MarketMoversApp.com by Sports Card Investor. We want you to go there and save 20% by using the promo code NOOFFSEASON, all lowercase. And, of course, check out our Sports Card Investment Report that we update regularly at NoOffSeason.com. And today I'd like to welcome in a new guest co-host. We're doing a little rotating co-hosts, and it's a lot of fun. And we have my man Greg Lanctot today in Canada. Greg has a lot of stuff going on. He's a host of his own show, and he's a serious sports card investor. So I'm really happy to have him join me. Greg, how you doing today?
I'm great, Paul. Thanks. You?
I'm doing really well. And before we get into the show, I want to just kind of ask you to give us a little quick introduction of yourself. And so that the audience can kind of get to know you a little bit before we jump in.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Card collecting, investing is a passion for me now, as you well know, with all my questions coming in your DMs. And I also, like you said, co-host a radio show in Montreal about sports. We talk sometime about cards. Hockey, all of the other sports. I'm from Montreal, so hockey is the big national sport here. The Montreal Canadiens are the kings of the city, our heroes anyway. And I also do lots of different stuff. I own a coffee roasting company that I co-founded 5 years ago. And also some MCing with CrossFit events all around the world. So I get to travel and meet different people there, MC those events. It's a super cool challenge each and every single time. I traveled to Miami last month. I'm going to go to Amsterdam in a few months, as well as Paris and probably Spain as well. So we might cross our paths there. Who knows?
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I'd love it. And I'd love it if we cross paths in Montreal someday. I've never been there, but I think it would be
such a great
cool
city, man. It's
visit.
booming. The F1, I'm trying to purchase my tickets for the F1 Grand Prix. That's coming in end of June. I think it's going to be a very good event. It hasn't been here for the past 2 years for obvious reasons, but I mean the city it's one of the best places to be in the world while F1 is here. So looking forward to it for sure. It's a good timing if you want to come during that week.
That's awesome. And one last note about where we may be able to meet up in person is I think I messaged you that I made my reservations, all the travel plans, and I bought the VIP passes for the National in Atlantic City in July. So I will be there, and maybe we will see each other there if you're able to make it this year.
I would love to be making it this year to the National, man, and be there for the first time. Heard a lot about the event for obvious reasons as well, and I would love to be spending a few days there. So we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes for sure.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, when you have a lot of other stuff going on, it's kind of hard to make it the priority, but it's kind of like something that will be a blast if you're able to do it. So I decided to make sure that I was going to participate this year, and I'm excited. So anyone else out there in the audience, we would love to see you as well. And it just should be super fun. I'm really excited. I did go with the VIP passes. So I'm basically, all that means is that I get some extra autograph stuff. And I think I get in maybe some early access, like 30 minutes early. I think I'll be there on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I'll leave Saturday. And then shortly after that, I'll come back to Spain. So it'll kind of be my last hurrah while I'm in the United States for the summer. So I'm looking forward to it.
Looking forward
to it, man,
too.
Yeah, so it's awesome to have you on the show. It's really cool. We're going to get into a lot of stuff. I'd love to have you on our regular rotation. A lot of the time it's Kendall and I. Sometimes it's my buddy Murph and we'd love to get you in the regular mix because, like you mentioned, you and I have been messaging each other a lot recently about sports card investments, and you know your stuff and you're learning your stuff, and I think myself and the audience we're all in the same boat. So I love to dig in and research. And in today's show, I want to talk about specifically a soccer question that you had in our Facebook group because I did a little bit of research on that. So I'll jump into that. And I'd love it if we do have time to talk hockey. I'd love to get your thoughts on maybe some of the guys that you think are the best hockey investments because we haven't had a chance to talk about that on the show really at all. But I know you're into soccer, F1, hockey. I know like you and I talk basketball a lot. You and I, it just feels like we definitely talked NFL.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. And the first segment that I have started to enjoy doing the show with Kendall is just talk about your recent purchases, and walk us through the thought process of your recent purchases, because I think this is phenomenal content for the audience. It's transparent when people like you and I can get on and say, look, I wanted to buy this card, or I was thinking about investing in this player. This is what I had the opportunity to do. This is what I ended up doing. And here's my plan for these cards. So is there any particular card or cards recently that you've pulled trigger on that you're excited about that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I did. And 3 cards that I purchased recently are all soccer cards, actually. The first one is a Alphonso Davies rated rookie press proof red that I pulled the trigger on. I mean, I'm Canadian, and Canada is currently making a great run for the World Cup. They're leading actually the I don't know how you call it, the America group or whatever for qualifying. I don't know how you say it in English, but they beat the U.S. men's national team a couple of weeks back, which caused a lot of emotions, I think, in the U.S. And without Alphonso Davies, and I don't know if you went on Twitch or YouTube and saw the reaction. A lot of people were watching Alphonso Davies, actually watching the Canadian men's national team beating the U.S. I think there was like 20,000 people watching him live, watching the game. So I haven't invested so far in Alphonso Davies. His prices were pretty high. I jumped on the train a little late. But lately, I mean, he's been out for medical condition, out of his club. That's Bayern Munich, and the Canadian men's national team as well. So I got a good deal on a card, pulled the trigger on it. Looking forward to see the Canada run for the World Cup, and as well as him coming back to Bayern Munich, as well as, I mean, if you want to take your eyes on the Canadian men's national team, just keep your eyes on Jonathan David. The guy's a super young player. I don't know, Paul, if you know this guy, but Jonathan David, super young player. He plays for Lille right now in France. He's in the Champions League as well. But there are a lot of rumors for him to move at the end of the season, so in the transfer window, to a Premier League club. So having this young Canadian national men's team member, playing there would be a great investment. So I pulled the trigger on a couple of his base rookie cards, and also his rookie sticker. The other purchase I made this weekend is Mason Mount. I know I asked you the question. I can't wait for you to see the data you come with. But Mason Mount, his green rookie card, his green refractor numbered out of 99. So I got a good deal on it. I also pulled the trigger. Mason Mount I think he got injured. His value dipped a little bit in the beginning of 2022. So I think it was a good time to purchase. England's going to make an amazing run also in the World Cup, so I can't wait for those to see. And also another Pedri card. I know he's on the Sports Card Investment Report. So Pedri is also my last investment of the weekend.
That's amazing. Yeah, Pedri is right now
Number 45.
Number 45. That's right, number 45. See, Greg's a member, so he knows what's up. Yeah, Pedri's number 45. He's been playing well. And this is what I love about soccer card investing, because you just rattled off Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, two young stud Canadian national team members. Davies is 21 years old and David is 22 years old. And they both play, like you mentioned, in the Champions League. And while they're a little bit, I mean, I would call them under the radar, they do have cards. Did you say you got Davies, the Davies Press Proof Red, Don Russ rated rookie Press Proof Red, 2018?
Absolutely. Yep.
And is that raw or graded?
PSA 10.
PSA 10, nice. Okay. Yeah, so the PSA 10 has been going for right around $300, some, US dollars. The last few sales, $350, $315. There was a sale on the 21st for $202.50, which seems super low, but that seems to be the outlier. It seems to be a card that is worth closer to $300 overall. But those are the thing. What I started to say is, I think it's fascinating. The world of soccer cards is so robust, and almost like the sport itself, it really has a lot to do with where you're from, who your favorite players are, not only what they're doing in the pro leagues, but also their World Cup team has a lot to do with it. And so my overall take on what you're doing, and really what I had to say about Mason Mount is, being that he does play for England, that's a top 5 favorite overall in the World Cup, and that he's like a midfielder / striker. I guess he's probably like more of an aggressive goal scoring midfielder. And he's super young too. His card prices have dipped, so I see him as a pretty nice buy low candidate. The fact that he plays for Chelsea also doesn't hurt. So he's going to have a lot of opportunity even beyond the World Cup to be, in the big stage. So I think that those purchases are super interesting. Soccer seems to be, I want to say, more preference-based than other sports, but it's warranted, because if you look at the data behind the sales of the cards for any of these athletes, the market is there for them. So I think that, to me, there's kind of like two potential plays, like how Kendall has kind of broken down baseball in previous episodes of the show. He kind of says like baseball is broken down into like two investor categories. One investor that's like the one that knows and only does baseball is really into Bowman, and they're really prospecting and thinking that they're good at picking the next guy who's going to become the next Wander Franco or even Tatis, Acuna, Vlad, Soto, etc. Like, they're the guys that are only into baseball. And then they're the guys that are collecting all these other sports and investing in all these other sports, but they also buy baseball. And I feel like soccer can be similar, where you've got guys that are truly digging into the market in the men's national teams and the market in the transfer market, or the top pro league market. And then you've got the guys that are kind of dabbling in soccer and only doing the US men's national team, or only doing Spain, or only doing Canada, only doing particular leagues. So it's fascinating to me that, like, I might have Pedri in my top 50, but to be quite honest, like, there's a lot of names that are out there that aren't in the top 100 that, that you've even named in the Facebook group and on today's show that you could make an argument for, because they
Yeah.
could be the next guy that could take off and have a big moment on the world stage, whether it be the World Cup or whether it be another tournament, and see their card prices rise. So I guess that's my long-winded way of saying, like, the soccer market seems to be very, very healthy. A lot of money is being spent there, but I think that it seems to be warranted. And those seem to be more like the Bowman baseball insider investments out of you than the more mainstream plays. So one follow-up question for you on your purchases, like, what made you go the route of Davies, David, Mount versus like Mbappe or maybe some of the more well-known guys? What as you're allocating your money, what's your thought process behind going with some of these guys that could kind of catch fire that are lesser known? Are you going to hold them
I'm
long term, or what are you thinking?
The plan is always to hold them long term, but also I think the plan is also to be able to flip it if there's anything and move on to, for me, buying, like, I see so much demand for Mbappe, for Messi, for these Ronaldo, these three top players in the world right now. And I mean, it makes me guess if, I mean, and I think this is probably the challenge in the soccer market. Which card should you buy from each player? There's so many cards from Ronaldo, and there's a lot of research to do as well of all of these players. So when, let's say, the players are young, Mount, Davies, David, there's not as many cards to do research for. And I'd rather, let's say, and I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, and you can probably tell me, but I'd rather buy a lot of cards, a lot of Jonathan David cards, when you know his value is only going to go up. And same thing for Alphonso Davies, and same thing for Mason Mount, even though Mason Mount is already a star. Um, I was talking about Karim Adeyemi, who's probably going to get transferred to Dortmund to replace Haaland, who's going to move to another club as well. So, I mean, instead of buying, and I mean, Erling Haaland is probably the most hyped player on the planet right now, even more than Mbappe. But I mean, yeah, the research, I'd rather buy these guys and, flip some, keep some long-term investment, and then be able to buy something from Mbappe or Messi that I can think has a value long-term and also can be flipped as well. You know what I mean? So having
Yeah.
these kind of goats in my portfolio is important, but as well as I see every day, when you look at Facebook groups, when you look at Discord chats, when you look at, eBay, there are so many cards for sale that I think you just get lost and overwhelmed by all of this, which made me realize that I wasn't probably ready to pull the trigger on a good Mbappe card.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I break down what you're saying, where it's like competition among cards can sometimes water down the market for a particular player, because yeah, if someone's after a Ronaldo or a Messi, for example, there's so many sets, and even Neymar, like, there's so many sets that these guys have been in, and for a novice to come in and buy a GOAT card, they might gravitate towards the less expensive cards, thinking that the price on those cards are going to rise. And I'm a little bit concerned for people that are thinking like that, because what they're not really realizing is that there's so much competition among cards for the same player that have been around for a long time, and stickers. for the player that have been in players that have been in multiple World Cups, that have been in multiple sets throughout the world. Panini has, just started to release sets in America, and Topps has just started to release like some MLS sets in America. And so I think doing a little bit of research on who's already established as a player, who's still young, who is in maybe the least amount of sets but still has a good amount of cards, like maybe 6 to 12 solid cards versus like 60 cards, I think is a strategy in and of itself that you're bringing to the table here that's very valuable to the audience. So a guy like Kareem Adeyemi fits the profile. He fits the profile. He's in Bundesliga. Like you said, he might get transferred to a better team in Bundesliga. He's got a rookie card, Topps Chrome, UEFA Champions League rookie card, a base and a refractor that are both really, really affordable. I think he's 20 years old. So to me, we talk about portfolio management, right?
Yeah.
He's a great flyer. He seems like a great flyer for your portfolio, where Mount's a little bit of a level up from that, right? So it's almost like, because you asked the question in the Facebook group, like, what do you think of both of these guys? To me, it's not an either or. It's kind of like they both have their own fit, right? Like you can get Adeyemi refractor raw right now for between $12 and $25, which to get to take a flyer on a guy like that and have it graded at SGC, possibly get a 9.5 or a 10, it's not going to take very much for you to make money on a card like that. And that's kind of what I think you need to think about. So I think you brought up a great point. It's like lack of competition within a certain player's ecosystem of cards is something to research and something to look at when you're going to buy into a player, versus like when I do the sports card investment report and I look at a guy like Messi or Ronaldo, they have a ton of cards. Neymar has a ton of cards. My job when I put together that report is to tell people, is to filter down the amount of cards and say, you really should only focus on maybe buying these cards. And here's why versus all these other cards.
Yeah, that's what I
and if
like
you're going to
about
buy
the
something
report.
from all these other cards, you better buy it for like this particular reason, right?
Yeah, that's what I like about the report. And as well, I mean, there's players, call me crazy, but there are players in the ones we named that I don't really believe in. I mean, if I get a good deal and I think I can flip a Haaland card, I'm probably going to do it. But long-term investment, I mean, the guy is probably never going to make the World Cup. I mean, he's still young. Well, young players are always a risk, right? Because we don't know. They haven't proven a track record over like 10 seasons or something. I spoke with people in Europe that were having Messi cards that had a lot of value when he was at Barcelona, and then he transferred to PSG and the value dropped. And now what are you're going to do with Messi at his age, So is it a good long-term investment to buy right now Messi, now that the value dropped after his transfer to Barcelona? Is he going to transfer to another club and try to win the championship after? I doubt it, because I think Kylian Mbappe is going to Real Madrid. So because exactly that Messi transferred to PSG. So we'll see how that holds. So I mean, when I see that as an investor, I see a lot of risks, and I don't know also the legacy that Messi's going to bring to the table in the years to come. I mean, Neymar, there were a lot of speculation that Neymar wanted to be transferred in the MLS because he wants to have a shorter season and work less. So, I mean, when you see this guy who's still young saying things like that, you're wondering, should I invest in this player long term? Kylian Mbappe is a whole different story. I would probably invest in the guy, but once again, which cards are the best? And I mean, I'm going to refer to the report for that,
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for saying that about the report. And I think like that's why Mbappe is number 5, I think. He's in the top 10 on the report. And Haaland is between 30 and 35, basically because I subscribe to the same philosophy you do when comparing the two guys. Haaland, people in the comments may go off on me for this, but Haaland, I don't believe will ever have the demand in the long term that Mbappe will because of the World Cup. I mean, Mbappe's already won a World Cup. He's already the favorite to potentially win another World Cup. He's got the same hype around a potential transfer that Haaland does. And people that are on the Haaland side of the argument will say, well, he might go to the Premier League. He might go to Barca. He's a better player, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. But the reality is the thing that's really going to drive the prices on these soccer cards are the amount of people that come into sports card investing from outside of soccer and spend money on soccer. And that's where Mbappe is going to get more airtime, more recognition. And so that's why I think, not that Haaland's a bad investment, but if I had to pick between the two, I'm picking Mbappe. And he's my number 1 soccer player on the report right now, for sure, for a lot of those reasons.
Mbappe is, and when we shift the discussion to investment and you say more players, more people buying players, and all that stuff, I mean, there are, for me, 3 guys that have huge star potential. And I mean, Mbappe is one of them. Mason Mount is the other one. I mean, not talking about Harry Kane, who's already probably the best striker in the world, and will probably win a World Cup, fingers crossed. This year. And also a guy that we didn't talk about, and it's Dusan Vlejovich, now playing for Juve. And I mean, he scored 4 goals in his first 4 games and established a record for rookie in the Champions League by scoring his first goal after 32 seconds. So this guy is a monster that has stats that can be compared to Haaland right now. So I think Dusan Vlahovic is a good investment. And me as an investor, even though there's not these players might not be big worldwide stars. I mean, if you have more people investing in the soccer cards in the next months or years, they're probably going to come from the United States. So who are the guys that you should buy before all the people have a lot of hype for this World Cup and the 2026 World Cup also coming to the United States? United States men's national team players, and these guys like Pulisic, Yunus Musa, Pepe, and name it, all of these players, I mean, for me, are great investments that their value might go up, even though Pulisic already is playing also for Chelsea with Mason Mount, and also Weston McKennie, who got injured a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's super interesting that a lot of the Americans are they're in more demand for sports card investors than some of the players throughout the world that are just flat out better than them. And I think it's the obvious reason to me is that even though there's a lot of international interest in sports card investing, I mean, you're in Canada, I'm in Spain. I know it's big in the UK. I know that there are people spending money on sports cards everywhere. I had somebody try to sell me a Messi rookie last year here in Spain. And I mean, it's definitely a thing everywhere, not just in the United States. But I think because primarily the market is driven by Americans spending money on sports cards in the more traditional sports, and then it's bled over into soccer, football. You are seeing guys like Pulisic and Weston McKennie get a lot of the attention, even though they're just not as good. They're not as good of players and not even really as good of prospects as some of the other guys. But Kendall and I have also talked about the fact that, you're right. Like that really doesn't matter. You have to pay attention to the market. Who does the market like? Who's undervalued right now, and you gotta go after him. So let me ask you a question about Dusan Vlahovic, right?
Yeah.
Vlahovic. What cards does he have?
There's a lot of, well, we were talking about the population of the cards. I mean, the whole
Mm-hmm.
ecosystem. He has his rookie sticker from 2016-17 that is super high valued right now. That's his true rookie. Like every soccer player always has a true rookie sticker. It seems that nobody ever heard of. Like 3 years before the
Yeah.
rookie card started started to be printed, produced. So this is his rookie sticker. I have one SGC 9.5. That is, I paid a lot of money for, and I think is still going to go up. There's his rookie ticket also,
Mm-hmm.
and red rookie ticket that are absolutely beautiful looking cards. And there are a bunch of different Panini Spectras, I believe, and even Mosaic that are non-rookie, that are flying for a few bucks. Like, so these are the cards right now that are there. But I know that Topps now released new cards from, I mean, the Champions League debut, when he scored a goal and all that stuff with Juve. So, I mean, the cards are getting more and more out there about this guy, but the true rookie are really his sticker and his ticket, that are quite
Yeah.
valued.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of his Contenders rookie ticket right now, and it's a sweet looking card from 2019 Panini Chronicles. So interesting,
Love this
interesting,
card.
interesting. I think, yeah, to me that would be the card to go get. The rookie sticker I would never argue that would not be his true rookie, but I would make the argument that from my experience in buying soccer cards and stickers and then trying to flip them as investments, the masses don't always love this or understand, like, especially Americans. Americans don't understand the history and the significance behind the Panini stickers. Like, I think we know that, and maybe most of the people listening know that there's a history behind Panini being an Italian company and starting with producing soccer stickers, football stickers, and so the sticker really is part of the culture, part of the history, and still, considered a card, basically a trading card. But I think that because, you have Panini now making more recognizable brands to Americans, like Contenders, and even I would have to assume that there's going to be a Prism Vlahovic at some point, right? And that card would potentially even overtake his. Well, it might not overtake his sticker, but it might overtake it as an investment, because you might have the sticker is something that might not be as attainable. And so then you're going to have cards like the Contenders rookie ticket and future cards of his potentially, especially autos or numbered
Yeah, there are
parallels and
no
things like that.
autos.
That could be just as, yeah,
There's no autos right now for Vlahovic, so definitely
yeah.
keeping my eyes on these.
All great stuff to keep an eye on, Greg. This is awesome discussion, and appreciate your knowledge of soccer here. But yeah, I think understanding the market behind not only the player, the amount of cards that the player has, the card that you're buying, and then the potential, not only markers ahead, but with soccer specifically, I think it's important to buy the right card, because I think that you have that split in markets. You have the smaller niche market that's going to understand that there's a sticker from this particular country and this particular uniform, and that's his true rookie, and that investor is going to go after that card. But then you're going to have the masses that's just going to be like, oh, Prism, oh, Topps Chrome, oh, Contenders, I want that one. So I think understanding the market that you're going to try to sell it to, if you're going to keep it and try to flip it as an investment, is important as it relates to soccer collecting. Or soccer investing rather. So I'll share my most recent purchases. it's going to take us in a bit of a different direction, but I think you'll probably like the direction.
Love it.
I've bought a few sealed boxes directly from Panini recently, but I actually would rather talk about two singles that I bought, because I'm staying true to my sports card investment report, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I'm trying to buy the guys that I have ranked the highest on the investment report. One of the guys that's in my top 15 is Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback, obviously, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, going into his second year with a new coach, Doug Peterson. Number 1 overall pick in 2021. I bought a 2021 Panini Elements Trevor Lawrence on-card auto, rookie auto. I don't love Panini Elements necessarily, but I love that it's an on-card auto, rookie auto of the number 1 overall pick. I got it for $330. So it's definitely a higher level investment for me. That's usually near the top of my budget. And so for one particular card, though, I think that this could be one. All it's going to take, in my opinion, based on recent history, for a card like this to potentially even double in value, is going to be like a good start to the season. Like if the Jags are 3-1, which may be a tall order, but they're going to have the number 1 pick. They got a new coach who's won a Super Bowl, and they're going to get Travis Etienne back, who is their second first-round pick last year. And they're going to have their strength of schedule should be in their favor as the worst team in the league last year. If the Jags start like 3-1 or even 2-0, and Trevor Lawrence is putting up some decent numbers, I think all of his cards go up huge. I think he's underpriced right now. So my thought process with the card like that is, could be a Lamar Jackson, could be a Dak Prescott, could be a Josh Allen type of guy where, maybe he doesn't make it to a Super Bowl for the first 5 years of his career, but he shows improvement. He leads his team to the playoffs, has good individual performances, and $330 for an on-card rookie auto I thought was a pretty good deal. So I'm pretty happy about that one.
You almost
What's
got
your
me
take
convinced.
on that one? Do you have a take?
You almost got me convinced. I'm not a huge believer in Trevor Lawrence, but I think that in a market that's driven around, especially the football market, driven with performance, and I mean, what's easy, and I think the football market is a tough one, in my opinion, but what's easy is that you have one game a week. So all of that can change in the span of 2 weeks with 2 different great performances. Like you said, if they start 2-0, there's going to be a huge potential for people to start believing in him and wanting to buy his cards. The second thing, it's the same thing for Joe Burrow. Imagine if the Bengals start 0-2. I mean, that's gonna be hard. And I mean, same thing for Ravens. It's a lot of gamble. But Trevor Lawrence cannot be, in a worse position than he is now. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I am buying in at the floor, and that's what I like about it, because I have been high on Trevor Lawrence ever since he came out of Clemson, and there's no doubt about it. Like I would say he's been underwhelming, right? I don't want to say underperformed because he was in a bad situation to begin with, but I think he's been underwhelming. I think this is an opportunity to potentially buy at the floor. I think he's someone that a lot of people are holding out hope on. So my thought is, even if the Jags suck this upcoming season and Trevor Lawrence doesn't play well, I still think someone could potentially pay me 2/3 to 3/4 of my original investment for that card, worst case scenario. So to think of it like, this could either be $1,000 card that I paid $330 for pretty quickly, or worst case scenario, it might be a $225 card after another year. I think that's my thought process for that particular card. Mm-hmm. But good to know that we're kind of on. I like when, it's good to be on opposite ends of the spectrum sometime with some things. So, all right. So all All right. So my other one is, you might like this one. I hope you do. So our man Darius Garland
Yeah.
does not have any Panini. He doesn't have any Panini rookie autos. And to my knowledge, he probably has some second year autos, or even third year. Well, I guess this would be his third year auto. He probably has some second year autos that maybe are in some higher end releases like National Treasures, or
Even his national treasures are not non-auto.
Okay, so he's Upper Deck exclusive auto then, and he's for sure Upper Deck exclusive auto as a rookie. And so I found a 2019 Upper Deck Goodwin Champions Darius Garland rookie auto SGC 10 that it was listed for $800, and a lot of the ones that had sold were selling for $800. And I made an offer on eBay for $500, and the person came back and said $550, and I thought about it for about a week, and I went on to some eBay sold listings and found like even the raw autos of this card are going for $300 in auctions right now. So the SGC 10 card and 10 auto, I just said, what the heck? I'm going to go back to this guy with my original offer of $500, and then he accepted it. So I got the Darius Garland
Wow.
2019 Upper Deck Goodwin Champions SGC 10 and Auto 10 rookie for $500. So I think, that's the most expensive single card I've purchased ever. But it's one that I feel pretty good about. And I like the fact that I'm putting my money where my mouth is with Darius Garland. Cause I've been all over him this season. So
Same here, man. And I've been running my mouth on Darius Garland to a couple of friends that started investing in him as well. I think he's a great player, has star power. The guy's always smiling. I like what they're doing right now in Cleveland with a lot of young players, with Karis LeVert as well, and Okoro. That's drawing attention as well there. So we'll see where it goes. I think right now they're sitting in fourth place in the conference. So yeah, we'll see where the player where they lead in the playoffs. But yeah, I like that buy, man. I like that buy. Kind of jealous as well. Would have loved to grab it for 500 too.
Well, I think Trevor Lawrence and Darius Garland are both guys that you can make money consistently on, and I kind of want to see what you think about this thought process. I've been fascinated with this idea. I have all these theories related to sports card investing because it's just so multifaceted. One of my theories is that if you were to only buy one player for, say, an elongated period of time, because I think all of us buy and consider buying so many different players that it can kind of cloud our decision making. But if you were to only buy one player for a consistent period of time, could you consistently make money flipping their cards? And I look at Trevor Lawrence and Darius Garland, and for two very different reasons, I think that they could fall into that category. For Trevor Lawrence, it's the fact that he's a quarterback, and football card investing is a quarterback-driven endeavor. To really make a lot of money, you gotta have an autographed on-card auto or something with a crazy patch in it or numbered or something like that for a quarterback that ends up winning the MVP and the Super Bowl, right? Like a Mahomes type of situation. Or if Lamar Jackson were to win a Super Bowl, now you'd have a guy like, okay, he's won an MVP, he's won a Super Bowl, now his cards are worth big money, right? Burrow almost got there this year. I see Trevor Lawrence as a guy that, if you believe, which I don't think you do, but if anyone in the audience believes that he can get there, then buying an on-card auto for $330, maybe that's your only purchase, in the last 6 months or whatever, or let's just say you only buy Trevor Lawrence hypothetically for the next year, I think you could make money off of that, because let's just say you buy his auto for 330, you wait until the football season starts, he has a good start to the season, or even if he doesn't have a good start to the season, it could still appreciate by 20%. You could sell it. Now you got $400. You could buy another Trevor Lawrence card for $400. Maybe now he has a good stretch and the $400 card. Now you've got $600, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So I'm fascinated with this idea where, like, hypothetically, you could pick one player and you could just make money again and again and again, only focusing on that one player and timing the market for that one guy. They got to be
Lamar
young.
Jackson
they
is
got to
totally
have a lot of
that
future
too.
markers ahead of them. Yeah, Lamar Jackson. There's, I would like to hear from any of you in the comments or on our Facebook group. Who's a guy that you think, if you were to single out and only be able to buy one player, who you could make money on? And Garland, I think, is a guy that there's just going to be enough hype around him. He fits the profile. He was the 5th overall pick in the 2019 Ja Morant draft class. And he's the number 1 in Cleveland right now, but he's got a young team. So, like, they might have a first round exit, but the fact that his rookie auto went for $500, even in a first round exit in the playoffs, which would be disappointing, it could still be a $650 card easily. But then I've got $650. And so then if I've got $650, I could buy 2 Darius Garland silver prisms, or I could buy whatever. And then maybe he makes another all-star team, has another good season. Now he's got more recognition. Now each of those silver prisms are now worth $500 each. And now I've got $1,000 from my initial $500. You follow, right? And so it's like, you said Lamar Jackson. So I think that's another great call. And I've often thought of, like, maybe I just only buy Giannis cards, or I only buy Steph Curry cards. Like, who would the guy be? If the goal is to really try to make money, does it make sense to buy less guys? Or does it make sense to just pick, like, one guy that, for a bunch of different reasons, is going to appreciate in value, and just go after his cards?
Yeah, I'm totally there with you. And I mean, that why I said Lamar Jackson fits that profile. The guy is spectacular. He could win 4 games in a row all by himself, and then throw 5 picks in 3 consecutive games right after and lose them all, and his value dips. And then, so yeah, I mean, I've been a long time Baltimore Ravens fan. I mean, I think Lamar Jackson was a steal at the draft. I would have loved to invest in his cards back then, but yeah, we'll see.
We've got Lamar, I think, number 15 in our report right now, and I think there's a good argument that he could be higher than that, really, because the report is based around what's the balance between proven success, card prices, and upcoming markers. And when you look at Lamar, he was injured. Basically, like, last year was kind of a throwaway year. Like, you can't, and that happens. It happens especially in the NFL. It happens in any sport, but especially in the NFL. So it's silly to say injuries aren't a factor, but knowing that he's still young, he's already won an MVP award, and had he been healthy for the remainder of last season, surely his card prices wouldn't be as low as they are now. And so I think that he is a phenomenal candidate to go out and get, like, a banger card of, he would be, I think, a calculated risk to go out and get just like a sick auto, or some kind of parallel, that, rookie parallel or something like that of Lamar, because I think he's a guy that could be in the Burrow situation next year. I really do. I think he could take the Ravens to the Super Bowl. I think the AFC is absolutely stacked. It's going to be, I have no idea who's going to come out of the AFC. Well. But yeah,
that's why it's a big. But anyway, high risk, high reward. I think Lamar right now could be a good buy. That's the card I've been chasing right now. Like, which card to buy. I looked at the investment report, and I can't wait to see what I'm going to come up with in the next days or weeks.
I can't wait either. I'd like to see if you make a move on a Lamar card. He's one of the guys that I'm always tempted to go with. So
you'll know before I pull the trigger. That's for sure.
I look forward to it. All right, so this has been awesome. I definitely want to ask you about F1 before we sign off because let's talk F1 and hockey before we sign off.
I'm not too big on hockey, but I can probably give you one hint on hockey, that's for sure.
Okay. Who would be your guy for hockey right now?
I mean, this week, the Upper Deck Series 1 is getting released. And this guy's value has been super low. And he actually plays in Montreal, and it's Cole Caufield. And the guy since Martin St. Louis has been hired as the new head coach of the Montreal Canadiens. He scored, I think, 6 or 7 goals, and in the first 40 games of the season or something, he scored 1. So it's pretty crazy to see how streaky he is. This guy has talent all over him. There's not really cards right now from Cole Caufield, I believe. So his young guns there's going to be a lot of hype around him. But I think long term, Cole Caufield will and the Montreal Canadiens are going to be competitive. If you want to talk long term, that's the guy I would invest in. I think Trevor Zegras is also a good rookie that you should chase from. I think this set as well. So yeah, these could be the two. I'm not too big on hockey cards, but I mean, I really believe in those 2 young players.
Nice. Cole Caufield, 15th overall pick in 2019. And so this is officially his rookie season then. So This will be a rookie, a young guns coming out in this upcoming set.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Very exciting. I love that.
Try to get a box and rip it. If you buy a box and rip it, I mean, and you get a Cole Caufield Young Guns, you have a good card in your hands.
That's good to know because I think a lot of people listening to the show definitely know their stuff when it comes to sports card investing, but probably not for hockey if I had to guess. So super, but I mean, a lot of us followed hockey when we were younger. I go back to the Pittsburgh Penguins when they had Lemieux and Yager, and at the time the Red Wings had Fedorov and Yzerman. Those were my hockey days as a kid. And so I think, like Greg said, if you're out there and you're kind of like that, kind of like me, where it's and I followed a little bit with my son. We lived in Nashville, and the Predators had some good seasons a few years back. So I got back into it a little bit as a fan.
The PK Subban years.
The PK Subban years and Shea Weber before that. So
yeah,
that was a trade with your Canadians, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And Shea career is over. That's a shame. Too many injury. What a player. Both these guys. I loved PK Subban.
Yeah.
Oh, there's also a third. Before we move on to F1, very quickly, Quentin Byfield. This is a prospect. He plays in LA, a center. He's going to be an amazing player. He will probably replace Kopitar as the future of the team. So buy low, and his value is only going to go up.
So he's only 19 and he's 6'5". He was second overall in 2020. So there's 3 good guys to chase in this upper deck. Okay, love that. Came into the show not knowing anything about the Upper Deck product that was about to be released this year, and it sounds like a good one. So don't know the pricing off the top of my head, but would love to hear in the comments if you guys get one or are considering getting one. That's really cool. So pumped about. The more things to be excited about, the better, right? So with that said, let's get into F1.
Yeah.
So F1 is fun. It's hot. It doesn't appear to be going anywhere. You've bought more F1 cards than I have. I put Lewis Hamilton in our top 20 in our sports card investment report because I felt like F1 had to be represented and like he was the guy. Everything else seems to be a little bit in the infancy for me to like, I think Verstappen, and I know that you're high on a couple of the other guys that I'll let you talk about, but I think that it felt premature for me to feel comfortable enough to get someone else other than Hamilton in our top 100. But Greg, talk about F1. Tell us what you know, what you're doing. And do I need to have more drivers in my top 100?
Absolutely, you need to have more drivers in your top. And when you look at, F1 has been low for a lot of years. Then they released, low in popularity. Then Liberty Media bought the whole company, bought the brand, and they made it very, very popular. And it's only going to rise in the next years. And Liberty Media, being an American company, also brought a second American Grand Prix in Miami, actually at the Hard Rock Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. So the track is around the stadium, and you can be on the roof of the stadium and see the race from everywhere, which is kind of crazy. There's also, like I said earlier, a Grand Prix in Montreal that's coming back, but also the biggest factor is if you guys haven't watched the series Drive to Survive, the documentary series that has been going on for 3 seasons on Netflix and is actually getting released mid-March, March 11th or something, for season 4, that you get all up close and personal with the drivers. You get to know them, which was the problem with F1. You had these drivers, you didn't know anything about these guys except for the biographies and what was going on in the media. And now you get to know them, in the pits every single race. And they have been doing a phenomenal job at creating content and, getting to know the drivers more, and also on social media. When you look at star power of these guys, you also have to look at performance and star power and performance. Max Verstappen is the world champion, very controversial driver. Disclaimer, I'm not a fan at all of Max Verstappen, but I can see why people like him. He has raw talent. He fights and races like a bat out of hell, and he's been there for a few years. But Max Verstappen stepped out for Drive to Survive season 4, and his value as the world champion is already up. And all of his rookie cards technically are all the 2020 Top Crumb set, since it was the first ever Topps card set that was released, the first ever Formula One top set that was released. So for me, Max Verstappen is not a buy right now, and more so in a sell situation. Lewis Hamilton, arguably the GOAT, the greatest driver of all time, who's going to chase an 8th world championship. There was speculation around him not being back because of all the controversy created at the last race of this season, which he lost the championship in the last lap by a, rule bending kind of thing by the FIA. Anyway, Lewis value is only going to go up, but the cards you get to chase are all from the 2020 Topps Chrome set. So these are the buys I would do. And his most valued card is the portrait or the sitting variation of Lewis. And 2 other drivers that I believe a lot in are George Russell and Lando Norris. If you look at the polls, if you look at all around the world, even Instagram followers, those two youngsters have a lot of Instagram followers. They have a lot of star power. Everyone loves Lando Norris. He's a super funny guy, super humble, had great performances last year. Even in a race, Lewis Hamilton had to fight hard to pass him and said on the radio, such a great driver, Lando. And Lando was so happy when he heard that the GOAT was telling him, and anyway, Lewis Hamilton loves Lando. Everyone loves him. So star power, a lot of people are going to be high on him, just like I am. So I would buy Lando Norris cards for sure. A lot of variations. His portrait cards are going for also a lot of money. And also George Russell, who was driving for Williams and now signed with Mercedes to be Lewis Hamilton's teammate. It's only going to be a matter of time until these two young drivers win a race and also win a world championship. So from now, even though the cards are going for a couple $100, all of these cards are going to go for way more up, even if it's a short-term play, a flip, or a long-term. Like I said, the day George Russell win a world championship, if you have his rookie card in your hands, I mean, these cards are going to fly for a lot of $1,000. And there's already cards that are 10, 20, 50K of these three drivers.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I'm totally sold on F1 for all the reasons you mentioned. It's, there's 20 drivers. It's easy to follow. I believe it's on, most of the races are on Sundays before NFL games, which I think is genius. I just think that the marketing, the marketing and sponsorship and storytelling, the storytelling and the drama are the recipe for success for F1. And it feels to me like a mix between, you've had the NFL that's blown up over the last 20 years. And you've had UFC has done the same thing. And it just feels like F1 is right in line, is right in line to be next after those two. Obviously, the only thing that makes it unique from like something like the WWE is because WWE is all scripted. But in terms of like what drama and soap opera storytelling that F1 could have, it feels like it could even fall in line with like a WWE type of interest. So I see F1 being huge. And the other thing I like about it from a sports card investment standpoint is researching those cards, which I've done a lot of research into those cards, more so than I have purchasing them. It's easy to understand the card ecosystem, right? Where we talked about soccer earlier in the show, a little bit different because you've got like a 70-year history of stickers and cards and, all sorts of stuff. Kind of hard to follow the different brands made in the different countries, a lot of different preferences. And for F1, even though it's an international sport, it's basically simple. You've got Topps. Yeah. Topps owns the license. Topps is making the sets. They've made a few different sets, and they're going to do it again this year, and they're going to keep doing it. So I think phenomenal call on George Russell and Lando Norris. Stay tuned, everyone, to see if they make it into our top 100 soon, based on Greg's recommendation and my research, of course. Yeah, this is great. Drive to Survive, the only reason I haven't watched it is because I know that the minute I start watching it, I'm going to be spending a lot more money on F1 cards than I probably should. So I've tempered my Drive to Survive, but with the new season coming up, I think I might need to, not only the new season of Drive to Survive, but the new season of F1, right? It's coming
the
up,
week after. Yeah, March's going to be a big month.
Yeah.
Big month on card investing. Can't wait to chat with
Greg Lank. Yeah, I know. Greg Lanctot, great having you on. Anything else you want to add before I do the outro here?
No, man, I'm good. Let's talk in a month or something, and we can talk about how these cards have gone up, the ones we invested in, what we lost as well. And thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Sports Card Strategy Show. Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com. Special guest co-host Greg Lanctot. We're going to definitely have him on again, like he said, next month. Brought to you by MarketMoversApp.com by Sports Card Investor. We really want you to go there and use the promo code NOOFFSEASON, all lowercase, to save 20%. And of course, Greg and I want you to check out the Sports Card Investment Report at NoOffSeason.com and join the Facebook group with us. So to find the Facebook group, easiest thing to do is just go to SportsCardStrategy.com and you'll see the link right there to join the Facebook group. We'll let you in, and you'll hear from Greg and I in the Facebook group. So thanks again, everybody. Have a great day. All right, man. Great work. That was fun. That was awesome.
Thanks, Paul. It was a blast.